it again. Fulham needed a goal scorer. It seems like they found one.
Hello and welcome to That's So Craven, your one-stop shop for all things Fulham. And this is Dave, and I'd like to welcome you back for our Thursday night show After Dark, streaming live on X and on YouTube. And tonight we'll do our final thoughts on last Saturday's game against Brighton Hove Albion, and then we'll look forward to this Sunday's derby against Spurs. And before we start, for everyone watching live, please send us your questions and we'll try and answer them during the show. So joining me tonight, very familiar face. It's Putney Perspective. It's Skibby. Skibby, how are you? How's your week? How's things going? Tell us all.
Yeah, I'm doing very well. It's actually been quite a busy one for me. I appeared on the Soccer A to Z podcast. And for those that don't know what that is, if you watch Soccer AM as a kid like I did, it's basically the Tim Lovejoy, Helen Chamberlain, those kind of gang. So I recorded that on Tuesday as a guest for their quiz, which was quite fun. It was an absolute car crash though. It gets released tomorrow, so hopefully they've done some absolute magic editing, but it was just absolute. You know what? We think that we're, rookies at podcasts. Jesus Christ, this was next level. I mean, loved it. Every second of it. It was a lot of laughing, but no, that was really interesting. But and then I met ML Heskey. What a week! Wow. I mean, that was a week. Yeah, it was crazy. Just so I went to a data center world thing. So my job is really boring, by the way. But no, I just happened to go to this conference where, you look around and it was basically like different air conditioning for data centers, different water cooling and all this kind of really boring stuff. And I just saw in the corner of my eye a sign which said, Liverpool legend Emil Heskey will be here from 12:30 to 1:30. And I was like, wow, okay. So went to the stand at 12:30. Had a bit of a chin wag with, I knew the vendor as well, which is even more useful. So I knew the guys there. And met ML Heskey, and for those not following on YouTube, I've got his autograph, which was pretty cool. And I got a photo with him, which I think I put on the socials. But the one thing that I thought was very funny, though, was they put his stats on the back of this card, and they're not very good, Emil, I'm sorry to say. 62 England games and 7 goals. 223 Liverpool appearances and 60 goals. Yeah, all right. I mean, he was in the Premier League 100 club, so he's fantastic. So there you go. But no,
what a week!
A great week.
Yeah. So when will this show be on air so that people can look out for it, Skibby?
Tomorrow, Friday.
Excellent. So we'll do a little retweet.
Yeah. Soccer A to Z podcast on YouTube and Spotify. So on Friday, that will be myself representing Fulham.
Awesome. Well, that's exciting. Nice. Yeah. And of course, completing the After Dark OG lineup, it's Thursday night MVP. It's Fulham legend Mary Southgate. So Townsend, how are you? And how was your week?
Do you know what? Busy week, PE teacher, so it's always a bit busy. Although we had a fixture today, boys fixture, and we won 5-0. So that was a pretty good day, clean sheet. So hopefully we can continue that into our fixture against Spurs, which we'll talk about later. But yeah, busy week. Every day is different, so can't complain, I suppose. And yeah, I found out one of the kids actually watched this pod a few weeks ago because he supports Man United and he came across it. So yeah, interesting. Careful what I say.
Oh yeah.
I was going to wonder that if like any of the kids come across it and be like, I mean, what do they call you, Miss Southgate, or is that
Yeah, Miss Southgate. Yes, he just stumbled across it on YouTube.
So that
Townsend's not crept in yet. I haven't heard down the corridor. Oi, Townsend! I'll report back when that happens. But I was in the car park the other day at training, and they were shouting "Maz, Maz," and I wasn't replying because it just didn't hit my ear. And then she shouted Townsend, and I did reply, and she was like, "Why are you only replying to Townsend?" Like, I don't know how this has crept in so much.
Fabulous. Well, look, I mean, you've just mentioned the guys have won 5-0 today, and you celebrated the clean sheet, not the 5 goals, which I thought was quite fitting of
That's a centre back
True centre back
mentality.
style, isn't it? True defender.
That's true.
Super. Yeah. I wish I had an exciting week like that from you guys. I can't, it's just been a really busy one at work, really boring. I haven't really done much this week, but I've been looking forward to the show. I got over Brighton quite quickly. It hasn't sat on me all week like it, normally does when we lose a game. And I think, really look forward to this Sunday at home. Looking forward to the game, and then will be a little international break, so that's going to be boring. But then back for Palace. So there's just so much to look forward to over the next few weeks. So just excited to get into it. So should we start with Brighton? Should we just do a little final thoughts on that? I mean, it was really disappointing. It looked like we, got a draw at, pretty tough place to go, Brighton. It looked like we'd got a draw, despite not particularly playing that well, I thought. But wow, right at the end, we were sucker punched with the penalty, and it just all felt a bit disappointing and horrible, didn't it, Skibby?
Yeah, it's just one of those things, I think, and you see them around, and I mean, it's the game of fine margins, right? It's always that stupid term, which I absolutely hate, but there you go, it's crept out of my mouth. But I mean, football fans and fanatics would have seen it last night with Atletico Madrid. Just because his foot slips into the ball, double touch, his penalty doesn't count, not even counting a retake. And it's just one of those things. And I think that goes back to Reedy as well. He's normally Mr. Dependable, normally that kind of player that is perfect to see a result out in terms of a 1-1 draw, and he just gets it wrong side of João Pedro, and is a penalty. I don't hold it really against Reedy. I don't really question his thoughts on or his actual quality. I thought he is more than a player that can come on and see the game out against a team like Brighton. It's a bad day at the office, I think, for him. It happens, so not holding it against him. I mean, bit of a rally for us. We know how much it sucks to lose in the 98th minute now, so again, but hopefully that is enough for us to sort of spur us on to Spurs, and then regroup in the international break, and then really sort of push on in that FA Cup, which I think is slowly but surely becoming a bit of a priority for us.
Yeah, it's looking that way. I think, I really try not to get drawn into the Europe debate week after week, depending on the result. But
it's like a roller coaster, isn't it?
It is, for sure. You do kind of feel that if we don't win on Sunday, though, that it's going to be a really tough ask considering the run of fixtures, which we'll come to. But yeah, like you, I don't blame Reed at all for it's just he didn't see the guy come in. The guy was very clever and got in front of him right at the time Reed was about to clear the ball. And it's just one of those things. I was more disappointed really with the first goal that we conceded, just because I just felt that we got overloaded at the back post. Yes, there was a couple of blockers, but I just felt that we could have defended that a little bit better. What did you make of that, Mary?
Yeah, I agree. I had a look at it, and we had there was 2 unmarked players at the back, and I just think, who's taking ownership of that, and surely that's not. I mean, if you've got blockers, okay, fine, maybe we're zonal marking a little bit, but I didn't really see that. I just think, why have we left them? Whose responsibility was that? And it just looked like it wasn't really anybody's. So that needs fixing up, because it's frustrating. We didn't actually concede any goals in open play, and I think some of that is credit to the formation. I know there's times when we think maybe we shouldn't play the back 5, but I think actually it worked in that game. I think it was the right move with the players that we had, but yeah, we shouldn't be conceding goals like that. I think it's poor, and I think that's not the first time that we've conceded goals that are too easy, I suppose, or we've just given them, like, we didn't even. It was a great header, but he was unmarked. He has no one to. So we shouldn't be giving away those goals, and especially right on half time. I mean, we said it last week when we played United. What a moment to score for us, bang on half time. and like the psychological benefits of that as well. But then we've gone 1-0 up. Can we just see it out 1-0 at half time, please? Because I think that changes the mindset as well. And then we've gone in 1-0, obviously, and we know how the second half played out. But I think we didn't need to give that goal away. So would things have been different? Would we have come out differently if it was 1-0?
For sure. My view on that goal was, I just wonder why there was no communication at how many players they had over at the back post. Why weren't other players alerted to the fact that we were outnumbered there? And there's a block on Bassi that helps the guy get away and get the free header. And actually, that guy that blocked Bassi did come from an offside position, which was pointed out on X out afterwards. So could have been disallowed, but you don't often see those kind of forensically looked into in that much detail, but technically offside. But regardless, I just think the communication was bad, that there were so many people outnumbering us on the back post. But it felt a little uncharacteristic. I don't recall us conceding too many goals like that. And as you say, defensively, we were all right on the day. I think we limited the chances that Brighton had. So, yeah, just two kind of strange goals. But I did enjoy our goal. I thought our goal was just a brilliant bit of play by Iwobi, really, and over on the right to get forward and then play that ball inch perfect into the box. And yeah, Raul does really well to kind of get it out and get the opportunity to shoot. But yeah, just another example of Iwobi putting just another fantastic ball into the box. And even when he's not at his best, he still does that. And I just think how important he is to our team can't be undervalued.
I think also Castagna there, like he won the defensive header before Iwobi, and I think that's worth pointing out as well. Like his positioning and the way he tracked that long ball to create like the turnover and the transition was really positive. So, and then like you say, Iwobi absolutely drove with that ball, machine down that side, and an absolute perfect ball into the box with a really composed finish. But yeah, it came from winning that long ball from Castagna, which I know he gets a bit of stick sometimes for maybe being like outran or being under pressure down that side, but that was a really positive moment from him. Yeah.
Skibby, what did you make of the five at the back? Because Mary said, we only conceded 2 goals that weren't from open play. One was a free kick, one was a penalty. General consensus I've heard is people thought we defended quite well, limited the chances. I tend to agree with that. But I guess my frustration with it is our 5 at the back is quite defensive, and the wing backs, I feel, don't offer enough in the final third. Whereas you watch like Palace or anyone else that plays wing backs, their wing backs are, when they're on the attack, often seem to be a lot further up the pitch, almost like wingers. I don't think it suits our personnel. It just worries me a bit, and it worries me that we're going to see it again on Sunday.
It does suit us if we have fit fullbacks, I think, or fit wingbacks. I think it's now come out that Robinson's carrying an injury. For the last month or so, I've been crying out, like, why is he not getting down to the byline like he used to? He just seems to be a bit... He's still more athletic than most people, but he just seems to be really sluggish when he sort of has got someone when he stands up a defender and go, you're just expecting him to knock it. He just seems to cut back. So it now turns out that he's sort of carrying a bit of a knee injury, which he may need an operation on, which I hopefully sort of ruin some transfer talk for the summer, but we'll see. But I think with Tete, 5 at the back really works. To have a fully fit Robinson and a fully fit Tete as wing backs in that formation would actually be really exciting. Unfortunately, and I say unfortunately in the nicest possible way, we've got Tim Castagna, who isn't as athletic, isn't really one to sort of get at his man. But, it's the best that we've got in this situation. So it is very defensive. And look, I mean, we talked about the 5 at the back potentially going into this game, and I did call it. And I'm going to be very proud of myself that I called a 5 at the back means a boring game, which it was. Because Brighton needed us to sort of come at them so they could counter us, but we weren't attacking them, therefore they couldn't counter, therefore it was just a really boring 1-1 game until the penalty in the last minute. But, I mean, for me, it got to a point where at half time we needed to sort of go in and say, well, Brighton aren't running us ragged here. We could definitely potentially sacrifice Diop, bring on, in my eyes, I was going to say bring on Harrison Reed at half time, add that centre mid, move potentially Andreas Pereira up, move Smith Rowe out wide, or potentially, bring on Willian for Smith Rowe, because I don't think he had a great game. He was a bit quiet. But I just really thought that there was a really good opportunity there and it's something that you don't normally see from Marco. Marco's normally quite an attacking, quite a very positive manager, which I love about him. But it just seemed to be very negative that he was sort of withholding Willian. Obviously, doesn't think that he's ready yet. Didn't want to rush Reedy because he doesn't think that he's ready. Obviously, because he come back from quite a bad injury. And we sat with the 5 at the back. We just soaked up pressure. I mean, we defended well, but at the same time, Brighton didn't really give us anything to really worry about, if I'm honest. I just thought it was just a bit of a negative and passive play or tactical move from Marco, which I'm hoping that isn't becoming a new thing for him. It's just like the Jose Mourinho type of recent years, which is just really boring to watch.
Yeah, I agree. I think it really needed a spark. You're certainly halfway through that second half. We weren't creating anything. We were barely, creating anything in the final third at that point. And we just needed something. He's got players on the bench. Cess is one, and, players that can come on and make an impact. And I just think we missed a bit of an opportunity there to, freshen things up and actually start troubling Brighton instead of just trying to absorb their attacks.
One thing I will say, though, I did really like Andreas Pereira. I mean, I know I love Andreas Pereira, don't get it wrong, but this is Andreas hat off right now. I loved his aggression levels because he seemed to really step up. Like, there was a moment where he really threw himself into a 50-50 and was really throwing himself about. And I was like, okay, that's actually better than most performances I've seen from him in that sort of centre mid role.
Yeah, you're right about that. You're right to point that out. And you're also right to point out ESR kind of having another game where it kind of just passed him by. I mean, what was your thoughts on that, Mary?
Yeah, I think he's been a bit up and down, really, hasn't he? He had a few good spells, but I think Smith Rowe, for me, when we get to it, I wouldn't be starting him this weekend. But same as you both said, I think 5 at the back was the right move. I just think it's good defensively, but I can't see us creating up top. I think we missed Adama and I think we missed Lukic in terms of the game itself. I think Lukic would have helped us with travelling that ball forwards a little bit more. But like Steve said in the chat, I noticed they were sort of playing down and playing between Diop and Castagna at times. And I think you could see that Diop's passing was a bit iffy, let's say.
Suspect.
Yeah. And so I just think we lacked that attacking creativity, which, I mean, we made some subs, but I would have probably brought Cess on to help bring energy. I think he's got a natural drive for goal, and his mindset is forward and attacking, and he drives with the ball, and he's a bit more fearless now, which is really good. So I think he would have been a good impact to have early on in the second half.
Yeah. And we've stopped seeing cameos from Josh King in the last few games. I remember in January he was coming on in games. I remember at West Ham away he came on, and I thought that might have been the start of him being used a little bit more. But he's found himself kind of out of the squad altogether, and then back in the squad on Saturday, but not coming on off the bench. And when we've got this many injuries and we need a spark, I don't know why doesn't Marco trust him to come on? And I mean, is there something that I'm not seeing? I don't know. It's a strange one.
I just think experience probably, and I think it was a tough game to come on to. And when it's 1-1, I'm a big believer in you can't really change something that's very tight unless there's real purpose and it's going to make a real difference. And I think Brighton away 1-1, as much as it was quite a quiet game, I suppose, until Brighton's chances at the end, and it wasn't the most exciting one, I do still think it was quite a tough game, and perhaps which I think is why Reed probably came on over Josh King. He's just a bit more strong, and strong-minded and a bit more experienced in the middle. But I don't disagree with you that Josh King would have brought a real element of a bit more excitement to the play, I suppose.
Yeah, I think so. Okay, should we move on from that now? I'm just kind of done with Brighton away.
Absolutely.
It's let's get on to Tottenham, and they're actually playing as we speak, aren't they, Spurs? So
They are indeed.
I haven't checked the score, but I'm sure someone will update us. But they are full strength because they're 1-0 down from the previous leg over in the Netherlands, where they went 1-0 down to AZ. So they're playing tonight in the second leg at home, trying to turn that one round. And it was interesting because I had a look at their lineup and they have a lot of players back now, don't they? You know, I noticed in defence they started Romero and Van de Ven tonight. Porro's back at right back. Vicario's back in goal. Spence is kind of keeping that left back spot because he's played really well recently. Thanks, Steve. Steve said it's 0-0. So thanks for the update, Steve. And and even in attack, I saw Wilson Odebear was on the left wing or the right wing, sorry. And, I think Solanke might be back too, but I didn't.
Solanke is back. Yep.
Yeah. So they've really, for about 3 or 4 months, they've had all these injuries and now they've all suddenly kind of reappearing in the team right in time for our game, which is not ideal.
Lovely, isn't it?
But all I will say is, seeing some of the Bournemouth game the other day, they still had a lot of these players back for that game too. And Bournemouth were the better team for a long period in that game. So it does show that they're still a little bit vulnerable. And I don't know, I don't really want to focus too much on them. I just think my main concern is how we kind of approach the game because, and who we have available. I mean, I saw on X today, Kenny Tete back. It looks like he's back in training, but I suspect the game's probably going to come too soon. But maybe he'll be back after the international break. Adama, I think, is a big question, because he was close to making last weekend's game. And if he's fit, it gives Marco the opportunity potentially to go back to the 4 at the back. I mean, how are you feeling about this one, Skibby, generally?
I mean, I'm positive. I mean, when you see Ange Postecoglou at the moment, he's quite a broken man. He's not. When he first came to the league, he was quite chirpy. He was cracking jokes with the journalists and in his proper Aussie fashion. But now there's a real friction there, and I don't know if anyone saw his pre-match before tonight, but I think a journo asked, it's make or break, isn't it, for your season and for your job? And he said, do you know if there's any other, careers in the world where I have to sit and talk to you and being told that I'm going to be fired soon? And I mean, he's got a point. I mean, it's a bit of a dick move, but that's the nature of football. That's the nature of the game that you're in. And he is under pressure. And I think you see it across the board with Spurs as a team, that they are low on confidence. Like, Heung-min Son is an absolute shadow of the player that he was 2-3 years ago. Whether that's to do with the new manager, whether that's just to do with being like he's older now and doesn't really have the legs, I don't really know. But it's just this point where even though they've got all these stars back, they're all going to be lacking match fitness. They're all going to be quite rusty, I would say. And on our day, we can tangle with the best of them, which we've seen. So it's going to have a bit of a Man United feel for it, where they've got all these quality players where, I feel like a few of them individuals could easily come into our team. But at the moment, they're not playing with an identity. They're not playing with a certain way that I feel that they could come and hurt Fulham. So I think it's a great time to play them. And especially if they're, crashing out of the cup tonight, I feel like that could be the end of Ange Postecoglou, just because they've got nothing else to play for, really. And he has his second season syndrome, where apparently he always wins a trophy on his second season. So if he doesn't carry on with Europa League tonight, then I feel that could be curtains for him tomorrow morning. And, we might even see, I can't remember the guy's name. He was the number 2
Mason?
Mason, yeah, that's it. We may see him taking the dugout on Sunday, and that could be even more catastrophic for Spurs or potentially even us with that stupid new manager bounce type feel. But yeah, there's just something really off about Spurs at the moment. But weirdly enough, I don't know if you saw this on, I think it was like Talk Sport, which I completely hate, by the way. But I think Kieran Maguire, the guy who does like the money in football on Twitter, which is fantastic, by the way, if you get a chance to check him out. He was asked who is the most profitable team in the Premier League, and he said Spurs by far, just because of how they're run. They are probably the best run club in the Premier League, which I was very surprised about. But, you know, when you start to break it down, I'm not too surprised. But, you know, this is the thing. Business mind, they're a fantastically run club. But in terms of personnel and the players and building the squad, it's just not working for them. And therefore, it's no surprise that they're sitting sort of 14th, I think, in the table. So they're a bit of the Man United syndrome at Spurs at the moment. So I don't think we should fear them at all.
Yeah, it's good points on the Man United comparison because it's, you know, thinking back to them, I think we all said that we felt that we were a better team, but maybe they had better individuals, and it feels a bit like perhaps that situation again. I'm hoping that even if Spurs do lose tonight, they'll at least kind of wait to the international break before dismissing Ange, because I think a new manager bounce wouldn't be in our favour, really. Teams tend to kind of buck up their ideas, and I could certainly imagine Spurs finding a new level, which would be awful. So I think they'd probably wait till after our game. I can imagine there'll be choruses of "You're getting sacked in the morning" if we take the lead, though, in the Hammersmith end. Mary, your thoughts of this one? You know, are you confident?
I think it will be tricky. I do think it will be tough. I think the whole comparison of Man United is very spot on. Like, they are a team of really good and well-established individuals. You've got lots of key players that can change a game, but it's obviously not working for them this season in that aspect, and they're not playing as a team, and they're a bit shaky at the back. But you have to always, you've got to be mindful of those moments of magic that those players can make and the creativity. And I think we've got a much better team cohesion, and we've got a much better, I suppose our style of play is very clear, the Marcus Silva way that we're playing, but they've got those key players that are probably a little bit more experienced in that sense in what they can do. But I do think if we can, I want to see four at the back, and I think if we can take the game to them, we shouldn't fear them at all, especially with them playing tonight. It would be good if they can finish. They're 1-0 down, aren't they, at the moment? In aggregate?
Yeah, on aggregate, yeah.
If they can go 1-0.
Oh, they just scored.
Well, maybe they can go to extra time, and they can just be really fatigued for the weekend.
It's a great shout. Yeah, if we can get
that would be good.
That would be perfect, actually.
It'd be quite handy, because it's actually not that long of. Yeah, it's not that long of a rest, but I think it'll be tough. I mean, last time we played them, we played with 10 men for the last 10 minutes, didn't we? With Kenny getting sent off. And that was 1-1. And I think it'll be pretty similar, a tight game. I think there'll be goals both ends, because we can't seem to keep a clean sheet. What's that all about?
Yeah, it's disappointing. In fact, the only one at home is Southampton, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Which was a really dead game.
Yeah.
Which I don't think there was a lot of defending going on, put it that way.
No. So, yeah, that is a bit of a concern. But I think Spurs will give us chances on Sunday. You know, they're not going to sit back, because, you know, that's the way we play, mate, isn't it? You know, so we know they're going to come at us and attack. And that's going to give us gaps. And we're usually quite good at exploiting those gaps. In fact, that's kind of ideal. That's kind of what we need teams to do to us. I think that's why we've managed to get some good results away from home when teams have come at us this season, because we've been good in transition and quite good at getting goals at the right times in away matches. So it kind of might be a good kind of fixture for us in that sense. And, you know, whereas I'm be more concerned about the Palace game, because I feel like the way they play is kind of much more counter to ours than Spurs. So I think it makes me kind of optimistic that if we're on our game and we get the kind of personnel right from the start, we can get some chances and hopefully take them. But I do think it's going to be reliant on some players being fit. I mean, we've got no Lukic, so, that's why I think Marco went back to the 5. But I would be worried if he starts 5 again at the back. I just think it would be quite negative, and I think I'd like to I can't remember. Was it Skippy? Did you say bring Reed in for this one? I can't remember who said it, but I think I'd be tempted to do that too, just to alongside Berger, so that we can get AP back in the 10 where he's playing really well, supporting the striker, and hopefully have 2 wingers, hopefully Adama and Iwobi, I guess, supporting the striker. Steve suggested starting with Muniz. I don't think he will after Raul scoring last week, but it tends to kind of stick with Raul if he's scoring. He looks like he is slightly ahead of Muniz in Marco's mind, but I'd like to see that, but I just don't think that's what Marco will do. What do you reckon?
It seems to be the pattern, doesn't it? As soon as we drop Raul for Muniz, Raul always comes back in and scores. So it just seems to be a nice little pattern, and I think that was his 10th Premier League goal of the season. I think making him only the 3rd or 4th, I think, of Fulham player in the Premier League to score more than 10 goals, which was fantastic. Let's hope he gets more. But no, I think it will be interesting to see, because last time we played Spurs, Cottage Tactico did a fantastic piece on it and showed that we overloaded the right. And we left, I think, Robinson and, it's going to test my memory now, whoever was on the left wing, potentially Iwobi at that point, basically left them over on the left-hand side of the pitch, but then we flooded everybody else over onto our right side, which we thought was very interesting, because, that's where Lukic was almost like the free man getting into the box, and we really tore them apart by just overloading that right-hand side. So it'd be interesting to see if we try and do something similar, or whether we have to try and accommodate that we don't really have the pace of Jedi at the moment, given his injury. Because I think how that worked so well was we left sort of one-on-ones on that left-hand side, and with Jedi just bombing on. So it'd be interesting to see if we go something similar, and hopefully, we've got Postecoglou's number when it comes to sort of the mind games and the tactics. But no, I think it'll be interesting to see. Like I said, I think it's just more about us and our quality and our confidence to be able to really take the game to Spurs, and hoping that they are a depleted team. So why not knock it about in our own backyard and really take the game to them? So I'd be disappointed if we do go with 5 at the back, but in a weird way, I do see why, given that he just doesn't have that kind of central midfield partner for Berger, which sort of aids us in this role. But you know what? I think try it, because Berger's come leaps and bounds in the last couple of weeks. That I do think that he could potentially do that job on his own. Especially against a Spurs team who don't really have an attacking midfielder who sit in that pocket too much. I think they got James Maddison, but famous last word, but he's been completely off it this season. He's not exactly like the Bruno Fernandes who just needs one chance kind of thing. So I think whether we do go for it and try Andreas Pereira in that role next to him, next to Berger, who is a more comfortable and sort of more confident sort of defensive midfielder, I could see that potentially being a way forward. But 5 at the back, I think that would just have 0-0, 1-1 written all over it. If I'm honest, all over again.
That's my worry. I think it was actually Willian that played on the left last year when we played them.
Was it Willian?
Yeah, and it was, as Dazza pointed out earlier in the chat, I think it was 1 year since Lukic's last goal in this fixture, and it's going to be on the same day.
I just want to add to that, because I saw in the Discord just as we were live, and I saw Dazza say, "Just realised we played Spurs exactly 1 year after we played them, and Lukic scored." And then he's put just remembered he's suspended, evening ruined. It was just that instant realization that made me laugh, but he's not wrong.
We played 4 at the back that day, and
Yes.
we went and won 3-0. So I do think if we take the game to them, like we've all said, and
We were
can
really
see it in the
comfortable
chat.
at the away game, the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. We were so comfortable, and Vicario kept them in it. I remember point blank saves from Iwobi. I think Muniz even caused some havoc, and it was just that red card. We were comfortable.
Yeah,
we were so comfortable. But yeah,
we should have been further ahead. We missed some good chances. Yes, they made some good saves, but I remember us missing some pretty good chances, and it was a bit actually disappointed in the end to have only come away with a 1-1, even with 10 men after Kearney's red. But you're right. I think, the only difference, I suppose, this time is they've got a lot of their players back who were missing then. And, they might take some confidence if they do manage to get the win tonight. But I still think they'll give us chances. I still think they'll approach the game from an attacking sense. And that gives us an opportunity. And we can, as we showed last season, same day, we can punish them if we're up for it. So that's what I'm hoping for. Mary, what do you expect the lineup to be then? There's lots of options.
Yeah, there is a lot of options. And it really depends about Adama, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I think that's, a lot changes if he's playing or he's not. I think normal back 4, as we've said, which actually was the same back 4 other than Anderson and Tosin when we beat them on the 3-0. Anderson, obviously, very happy to have him in the back 4. But I think Berger and Reed bring them in with AP. I think Smith Rowe, it's not the game for him, to be honest, not to start. And then, I mean, if Adama's not playing, do we have Sess out on the left and we have Iwobi on the right? I think Jimenez will start, but I can absolutely see why Muniz, he scored 2 goals in the last game when we beat them 3-0. So he's obviously had a good success against them. But I think Jimenez will start. But the biggest thought for me is if Adama's not playing, would he bring Sessin on the left? I don't know if Willian's quite ready to start. Maybe more of an impact player coming on.
I love that shout. And I think it's would be a bit special because it's against Spurs, where obviously Sess has just left. So you could imagine, what it'd be like if he got on the goal, was one of the goal scorers. It would just be nice for him, I think, to show, this is what you let go, and playing in a wing position, which I think a lot of people think is his most natural position. I can't see it. I think Marco will resist that, but I would love to see it, if that makes sense. If the Dama's fit, I think he has to play. And I think he would cause Spurs a lot of problems if he's fit. But if he isn't, I'm all for that Sess move. I'm all for that. Skibby, you?
Yeah, I mean, I think if we go through that sort of overloading the right, which we're talking about, then that becomes a game for Adama because he will be more often than not the free man. And at the moment, I think they've got a makeshift left back in Jed Spence, who he's done okay. He's not a comfortable left back, in my opinion. So I think if you really get Adama at him, he'll have a really torrid day. I think the Sess on the left, I can't see it happening. Just because, I think it's just there's something about Silva doesn't want to. I know it's interesting how we've talked about this and how it's kind of evolved from August, where he was signed as a makeshift, like a backup left back, and I think Fulham Fan News kept telling us that Marco doesn't see him as a winger, he sees him as a left back. And as soon as it sort of progressed the season, and we started losing our wingers, and we started playing Sess further up the field, and then he scores and he's creating and he's just playing. I don't know what anyone else thinks, but I'm looking at sort of the confidence that he had when he was sort of 17, 18 again. You get him in front of goal and you just think he's going to score because he's just oozing confidence. So, I mean, he's got to be within a shout. But at the same time, I do think that Adama offers more. And I think Iwobi is just undroppable at the moment. I mean, it's always a shout that Mark always makes on this pod, which is Iwobi in that central position, put him next to Berger, and then potentially have Sess on the left and Adama on the right. That is a fantastic option to have.
I'd love
I just
that.
feel like we just love having Iwobi create on the wide with Robinson. So I think, yeah, personally, I can see normal back four with Berger, and I think it'd be interesting to see Kearney come in, because I mean, I'm thinking about Spurs midfield. They've got Bergvall, who I do really rate. I think he's a great player, and Sarr, hit and miss, but they're both very young, very fit, very aggressive. So maybe that doesn't fit Kearney's game, but on the other hand, sort of, playing devil's advocate, he's got the higher intelligence than both of those players. So he could get himself out of certain places and pick a pass and really get us moving. So that could be an option. I think Kearney, if he's fitter than Reedy and allows us to be more open, then potentially I'd like to see Berger, Kearney, Andreas in the middle. But then part of me also says that Smith Rowe, being ex-Arsenal, he's got a lot of hate towards Spurs and always seems to be up for those kind of games. He did okay in the away game, I remember. I think Nelson was a bit more on it than he was, but that's always going to play on your mind. But to be honest, I think I would like to see Kearney, but personally I think we'll probably see normal back four. I think they'll probably try Andreas again next to Berger with ESR. It won't be Adama and Jimenez.
Yeah, I guess there's lots of options, and some of them sound really exciting, but they also sound a little unrealistic just because of how much.
Go for it.
I know. That's my worry. Is if we line up like that, I just think it'd be quite negative, and I do think, if we persist with a free in midfield of, and it includes ESR and AP, I just don't think we're learning anything from some of our poorer performances this season. It's just not worked, and he needs to move on from it, I think. But we'll see. I mean, who knows? Maybe we'll line up 5 at the back and those 3 in midfield, and we'll win the game. But if history and what we've seen already this season is anything to go by, then that's going to put us in a difficult place. And ESR, I think, as Steve just mentioned in the chat, I don't think he could justify a place in the starting lineup after last week's performance. Just don't think he did enough to impact the game when we needed him. And I think it would be I think it's fair for him to be left out and have to earn his place in a team, much like Andreas Pereira did.
Yeah. I think he's just...
Go on. Sorry.
I was going to say, I just think out of possession as well, Andreas has got more about him. He works a lot harder and he's a lot more aggressive when he used to be. Smith Rowe looks good when he travels with the ball, but that's when he does travel with it, which I think we're just not seeing enough. We're just seeing it in small spells, and that's not... We need more consistency in the Premier League. So, yeah, I think he doesn't warrant a starting place at the moment.
I agree with that completely. When I've seen him run with the ball this season, he looks really difficult to stop. It's really exciting, and we just don't see it anywhere near enough. Too often we just see simple passes, just to kind of tick over possession, and you think that's not what we want from you. You've got to break the line. You've got to make something happen. And I'm hoping, I've seen it in flashes, which gives me confidence we can get this out of him, and maybe it is just going to take time and time and time, and maybe it's even next season that we see the best of him. But I'd just love to see more of that, and until I do, I think it's really difficult to justify his position.
And I think that's a disappointing thing, is what you touched upon, where we're nearly 30 games into a season in the league. Count cup games, I don't think he's played many cup games, but so I'll give him the benefit of the doubt there. But I can probably count on two hands to give him the benefit of the doubt, times he's actually got me off my seat, where I'm thinking, oh, go on, son, like you're in. It just doesn't happen enough. Like you say, it's there, but it just doesn't happen enough, and he goes missing. And the only thing I worry about him a little bit, and I do agree it is time to bench him because I don't think he offers enough, and I think there are players on the bench who offer more. But does he have the bounce back mentality that warrants someone where you're trying, the button you're trying to push to get something out of him? I think with Andreas Pereira, he's been written off his entire career. He tried to get into Man United, didn't work, always going out on loan. Therefore, he's got a bit of a fight about him. Where, Harry Wilson hasn't been part of the team, got put on the bench, was doing really well for Wales, and, Silva kind of sat him down and said, well, you're doing it for Wales. Show me you can do it for Fulham. And he came out and he did. And I think with Smith Rowe, he's never really had that scenario where he's been dropped because he's not performing. He's been dropped at Arsenal because of injuries. He's had some really bad injuries. Therefore, and then he's tried to sort of come back into the side. They've now said, your surplus requirements, therefore you can leave. Therefore, he's never really been in that position where he's playing for his spot, in my opinion. And I think that's where it's going to be quite make or break for Silva to manage this correctly, that if he does drop Smith Rowe, is he going to get the response he wants? Or is he just going to have a little sulky teenage? Well, I say teenager because he just seems like that youthfulness about him, but he just seems to be that kind of, oh, okay, well, I'm not in the team, so I'm not going to try. And I'm not going to demerit his character. I don't really know the answer to that question because without actually it happening, we're not going to know. So it's one of those kind of like, Schrodinger's cat type things. But, but for me, I hope he does push on, and he does need that kind of reset, but I'm hoping it doesn't, bite us in the arse type thing.
No, that's fair. I'm going to come back to you guys at the end for your predictions because Skibby's promised us a little pop quiz on Spurs, and I'm quite excited about it. So I wanted to push through and get involved in that.
What I will ask is click the comments button. I think this is more you, Dave. The comments button on the top right, so you can't see the comments. But people listening, you can join in as well. So this is going to be a club connections quiz. I've got 5 players who have both played for Fulham and and for Spurs. And you know what? I think we'll just sort of either buzz in with your name, so just say your name when you think you know it. So yeah, I'll keep a tally as well. We'll keep it like competitive. So player number 1.
Okay.
He played for Spurs in 2009. He played for Fulham in 2010.
Holtby.
No. Let me finish. He played 11 times for Spurs, scoring 1 goal. He played 10 games for Fulham with no goals. I do have clues if need be.
That's a classic.
So I think 2010 would have been just after the Europa League final season. So 10 to 11.
Okay. Because I was thinking it could have been Kelly, but he was there on the Europa League season, I think.
Don't let the stats fool you. He was a striker.
He was a striker. Oh, blimey, we should definitely get this then.
11 games for Spurs, 1 goal. 10 games for Fulham, no goals.
I need I'm going to have to phone a friend in the chat if anyone can help me there.
I'll give you a clue. He's played for Barcelona, Stoke, Monaco, and Bolton as well.
Oh, blimey. That is going to really annoy me. No, I'm drawing a blank here.
The best spell of his career was at Chelsea, where he played 154 games and scored a boatload of goals.
Is it Good Johnson?
I did Good Johnson, Dave. Well done.
Oh.
Yeah, I feel like I should have got sooner. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. All right. Fair enough.
Player number 2. So he played for Spurs in 2014 to 2018. He played for Fulham 2019 to 2022. For Spurs, he played 35 games, scoring 2 goals. For Fulham, he played 76 games, 5 goals. Who am I?
19 to 22. God, I'm rubbish at this. I thought I'd be a lot better than this. This is terrible. This is only happened to 19 to 22.
Fulham,
Right.
think COVID playoffs.
Yeah, okay. Oh, on Joshua Onoma.
Joshua Onoma.
Oh gosh, that is a blast.
Do you know what? I'm really gutted I didn't get to use my clue for that one, which was nicknamed after an Argentinian great. Josh Onoma Maradona.
Yeah.
Player number 3. Dave has a 2-0 lead. Played for Spurs in 2006 to 2008. And played for Fulham in just one season, 2013. For Spurs, he played 12 games, 0 goals. And for Fulham, 12 games, 0 goals.
That's not
And
Lewis
if you
Holtby,
have
is
to,
it?
not Lewis Holtby, but you are in the right season. I was going to say, for those aware, that was our relegation season for the first time for the Premier League.
Okay. That's a good one. Can we get a position or an area of the pitch?
He was kind of like a winger attacking midfielder.
Was he? Okay. A winger attacking midfielder, 2013. God, that was a mess of a season.
Probably a mess of a player, to be fair.
Yeah, I can't quite remember. If I'm honest, need another clue.
I'll give you... He was known as the greatest flair player in Championship history.
Oh, okay. Oh, I know who it is. I know exactly who it is. It's Abel Taarabt.
Adel Taarabt, absolutely. I was going to say he was also pictured at a bus stop, half-time of a 6-0 drubbing of QPR.
Yeah.
Daz is on it.
Yeah. Adel
So
Taarabt,
player number 4
okay.
played for Spurs 2003 to 2005. Played for Fulham 2005 to 2006. For Spurs, he played 50 games and 2 goals. For Fulham, played 41 times, 0 goals.
What was the year again for Fulham?
2005 to 2006.
Okay. So one season.
One season.
How many goals did you say?
0 goals for Fulham, 2 goals for Spurs.
Okay. Sounds like a defender. Yeah, what position, like, of the pitch, roughly?
He was a centre midfielder.
I was a centre midfielder.
Dazza was 2 at the time. No use on this one.
Yeah.
We're counting on you then, Dave.
Yeah, I mean, this is kind of Fulham in the Puma kit kind of days, isn't it? You know, with the one black sleeve, and the midfielders would have been like Diop would have been in there. Diop would definitely been in there. I think Bullard would have been in there around that time.
He was.
So you'd have Bullard.
He was a tough tackling centre midfielder.
It was a tough. Oh, was it Michael Brown?
Michael Brown.
Oh, I liked him.
Yeah, Michael Brown.
He was a character, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was
guaranteed yellow card.
Yeah.
Not that I was betting then. I was only like 14, but still.
Yeah. I remember him. That was fun.
The last player played for Spurs in 2020. Played for Fulham 2022 until present. 22 games, 10 goals for Spurs. I was very surprised. And 50 games for Fulham with 8 goals.
And
who am
plays
I?
for us now?
Current squad.
Oh, right. Okay. So that would have to be...
Daz is straight on it.
Yeah.
Steve Reynolds
is
straight
Vinny.
On it. Oh, Vinny.
Straight in it.
Of course it's Vinny. Yeah. Of course it's Vinny, the forgotten man. Yeah.
Brazilian, scored a very famous goal, needs a statue outside Craven Cottage in about the 6-yard box where he scored a famous header. for our first win against Chelsea in, what was it, 20 years? Something ridiculous.
Did you say he scored 10 goals in 22 games for Spurs?
Yeah.
Much better than I thought.
Mate, I was really surprised.
Yeah.
I think that might be all competitions, so I think he might have had some European ones in there, but I was really surprised when I saw that stat. I was like, he's so prolific.
Yeah, for sure. Blimey. There you go.
But yeah, then there was some
fun.
honorary
Enjoyed
shouts
that.
for Dempsey, Dembele.
Oh,
Yeah.
Dembele, what a baller.
Yeah.
Hands down the best player I've ever seen live.
Berbatov.
Not even a question. Berbatov. Stephen
Yeah.
Kelly I did think about. Jamie
Yeah.
O'Hara also came up as well.
O'Hara,
Useless.
blimey.
Useless pundit. But
Yeah.
I think Dembele, my favourite one out of all of them. The
Oh,
way
by
he
far.
moved the ball, just so
Didn't make sense.
good.
It's got to be half time in their game now. Is it 1-0 still? Yeah, 1-0 at half time. Okay. Right. We'll keep you informed on that one. Well, I enjoyed that, Skivvy. We'll definitely do that again.
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah, so I'm just having a look now. So Carlos Vinicius scored 1 Premier League goal. He scored 6 goals in 9 European games. That's where he got all of his goals from.
Yeah.
Pretty much. And then 3 in some other cup. National Cup. I don't know what that is. FA Cup, I guess.
Right.
Yeah, ridiculous.
He was playing in the Europe games that probably were like not really that important in group stages and things like that.
If I'm honest, I remember Carlos Vinicius scoring against, is it Marine, something like that? Where Spurs in the FA Cup, and he scored against his absolute 8th tier and then did his normal celebration, and everyone's like, well done, mate. They're like carpenters and plumbers. But,
Talking of celebrations, Jimenez's celebration at Brighton, what was that?
That went a bit wrong, didn't it?
I don't know if Marco would have been that impressed with that one. I'm surprised he didn't get injured.
I'm sure he doesn't want that one to be shown.
Did he try and do like a handstand and then just completely mess it all up?
Something along those lines. Something between some sort of flip and handstand and ninja move. I don't even know. It was just a bit of a mess. But he came out in one piece. That's the main thing.
That is the main thing. So after Sunday, we've got a boring international week. So we'll have a little kind of week off Premier League football and cup football. And we'll all just sit there in suspense, waiting for the Crystal Palace game to come around. And they're going to have a longer period off because they're not playing this weekend, are they? I think they were scheduled to play one of the teams playing in the League Cup final. Yeah. So they've got an even longer period off. I don't think that is particularly helpful for them to have that much time off. So I'm going to take that as a positive. I'm going to put a positive steer on that. And it's going to be a really exciting game. I managed to get my ticket. And on that note, what an absolute debacle the club had this week with the tickets for Palace. I mean,
they're just going from bad to worse, aren't they, at the moment with ticketing?
Yeah, it just totally wasn't thought through. I guess for anyone that doesn't know, so the club very generously put the tickets up for sale to season ticket holders first, and they could also buy 4 extra tickets, which, of course, with a reduced allocation for home fans, because Palace get a larger allocation in the away end, and it being a quarter final of the FA Cup, it was always going to be really popular. And I'm sure many of us season ticket holders took advantage of that and got kind of friends and family involved in this one. But what the club hadn't kind of thought about was the season ticket holders in the Putney end who are losing their seats to Palace fans. And therefore, what you've got a situation of is season ticket holders in the other part of the ground buying tickets for friends, and the season ticket holders in the Putney end waiting to see what scraps are left, which just doesn't feel right at all. And that's not even to mention members who pay a membership fee. You know, you'd think they would probably should be ahead of season ticket holders, friends and family too, arguably. So it was just all a bit of a mess. But I'm just hoping that all of the season ticket holders in the Putney end did manage to get a ticket for this one, because that would be really unfair if they didn't, I think. And I was going to say hopefully the club learn from it, but they probably won't. They often make mistakes like this, and it is kind of just getting a bit ridiculous now, and hopefully this Fab group can kind of motivate and push for some change. But given, I don't know if anyone read the Fulham Supporters Trust notes from this week, but they had a really kind of, fractious meeting with the club. And I don't know, I just still think that from Alistair McIntosh down, they're still kind of treating, especially the FST, but fans in general, with a bit of contempt, which is really disappointing. Don't know if any
Especially
of you...
when Marco Silva's like verbalizing so much that he needs, and like saying it in lots of different press conferences, he wants the fans, the players need the fans. So surely that's the whole like point of it. So I don't know why Fulham are like squashing it a bit. So it is disappointing, but Marco's right. Like, we are the 12th man, so they need to get that right.
Yeah, and I think the Liverpool game in the Carabao Cup semi-final last year, I was a season ticket holder in the Putney end at the time, and I'm sure I had a window. I didn't have any problems, and I was really excited to go back to the Hammersmith end for one game, and it was just a rocking atmosphere. So I don't know why they just didn't implement a very similar, just rinse and repeat, mate. It worked. It's just it baffles me. Like they're trying to reinvent the wheel every bloody time. Chelsea away, let's put no loyalty points on it. Okay, let's do loyalty points on Arsenal away. What? Okay, fine. It just doesn't make any sense. And I mean, if anyone's listening and looking to get a ticket tomorrow, I've just had a look because I'm a season ticket holder. I can have a look. There's still loads of seats. The seat next to me is even available. So, cool. I'll put a premium on that. Get you lucky enough to sit next to me. Yeah, just me just shouting obscenities because we know the refs going to have an absolute poor game. So there we go. That'll be me. But no, I don't. I've made my feelings very clear about the Fab. I've made my feelings very clear about the Supporters Trust. I mean, I think they're taking a win for the whole Putney end debacle and getting a new window for them. But I do feel like there's I get you got to celebrate the little wins, right? But at the same time, we've been talking about tickets for almost 2 years, 3 years now, and it's just not changing. So yeah, I don't know. And I think this is something that I put in the chat as well, that something to be aware of is that, our owners are owners of the NFL team Jacksonville Jaguars, and who are big on bringing it over here. I have a season ticket, which is basically the 2 games in the UK for NFL, but they've scrapped it this year. They just flat out emailed me and said, I can't renew my season ticket, but don't worry, you will have a priority window to get tickets. I'm like, okay, but that only happens this year, and then I guess next year it's going to be a free-for-all because they want to open up the game to the other fans. So that being NFL in the UK, I can see that coming over to our club, unfortunately. If people don't renew certain seats, I don't think that they'll put them back on the season ticket market. I think they will just keep the number they've got now and just watch it shrink until, there's no season tickets and everything is just all tourists and day trippers. But and don't get me wrong, they'll make you pay for the privilege to be one of the loyal fans, which will be a premium, like basically a membership. I think members will become the new singing section, so you have to pay £100 a year or whatever it is just to have the fortunate priority window to be able to spend 150 quid to watch your team play Stoke or something stupid. So yeah, it's just going to get worse. But hey, I'm looking forward to. Don't get me wrong though, I'm looking forward to Palace. It'll be a great day.
Yeah, and on that note, I think it is going to be a great atmosphere, right? Let's make a positive out of it. I think everyone's going to be really buzzing for this one. Steve suggested, is it time to bring back the white wall that we had at Wembley in the
that was so good
playoff final? But I just think, even at Liverpool last year, we had the flags, didn't we? The black and white flags.
Yeah,
that was a great atmosphere.
Yeah,
such a good atmosphere
in the
Best
Hammersmith
atmosphere.
So I'm hoping we bring that, because Palace will create noise in their end, and I'd just like us to show that we've got a bit about us when it matters, and we can help push the team on and really motivate them.
Be a game of standing up for 90 minutes, one of those.
Yeah. So sorry to those with bad backs.
Why doesn't
and things,
Steve offer his services as a consultant to the club? Because that's spot on.
Yeah.
Just put what was it? We had those flags, just the black and white bin bags, wasn't it? That was literally all they put on our seat at Wembley, I think. And it created this aura of this white wall, and it was so simple to do. There was no clappers needed. I mean, I don't get me wrong, I don't give a crap about the clappers. If people want to use them, but just hold up a big sheet of plastic white, easy, easy, and sort out the music on the day as well. Just something that gets you pumped. Although saying that, I have heard Prodigy a few times, and I do love Prodigy. So
was that Firestarter? I think I've heard that.
No, Spitfire. It's a bit of a niche one, but I love it's a real blood pumper. That's a good one. But,
that's what we need. Yeah.
I haven't seen any talk about the bags though into Putney End, but I'm guessing that's because it's away fans only, isn't it?
Yeah, so they haven't sold the whole Putney End to Palace. I think they've kept 2 or 3 sections closed, which is a bit odd. But yeah, they've got still a much bigger allocation than normal, as teams tend to on cup games. And yeah, as I say, they'll be loud, but I'd love it if we get
there was
back.
A bag ban, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So I imagine there's a bag ban again.
Probably. It's also a super early kickoff as well. So
I forgot about that part.
Yeah, as is Sunday, by the way. It's 1:30 kickoff in England. So I'm sure the Australians and everyone else will be enjoying that, because they can watch it at kind of a normal time. So which will be,
apart from Americans.
Yeah, Americans it doesn't work out too well for, but I'm sure they'll get the pubs open early. And hopefully we can do the business. So I don't know. I think we're pretty much there, aren't we? We've gone over an hour. We haven't given predictions yet. Do we need to give a quick prediction on the game on Sunday, Skivvy?
Yeah, go on then. I reckon 3-1 Fulham, because Spurs are crap.
Just cut it there.
2-0 as I said that.
Yeah, they've beaten up now.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, no. Get all their goals out now.
Yeah, that's it.
Mary, what about you? What's your prediction?
Yeah, I'm going to go 2-1. I know the guys said the other day, I think they were going 1-0 on their predictions, and I can see that. But I'm going to be positive. 2-1 to Fulham. 2-1. Looking at him.
I'm going to be just as positive. I think we can win. I think there'll be loads of goals. I'm going to go for a crazy 4-3 win to Fulham. We haven't seen one of them in ages. I think it's going to be one of those kind of afternoons. So
as long as we come out on top, then.
Yeah.
But you know what? Spurs did come back from 2-0 down to Bournemouth, so we can't be switching off.
We certainly can't. They've got players that can punish us, but we've got to just take our chances. And we will get our chances. We just got to take them.
One thing I've just noticed after you said about it's at a normal time is Fulham Boston actually advertised that Old Magoon Saloon is opening up early for them this weekend. So I think 9 a.m. So hopefully it's a good game for them, and hopefully they get the old baby Guinness out at the end.
Oh, yeah, what a dream.
I might have to join them. I think I might join Fulham Boston if Fulham win.
We'll have to start the After Dark next week with little baby Guinness cheers.
That would be great. We'll have to do it.
Well, I'll be going into school the next day. They'll be like, Miss, what did I see you doing on the pod?
You'd be like,
depends how well. It depends what we win as well. If it's an FA Cup final, then I think it'd be like, Miss, what's that smell? Just stinking of Baileys and Tia Maria.
Brilliant. Okay. Well, obviously, we're bang in the middle of the table. It's an opportunity to kind of start talking about Europe again on Sunday. I don't want to focus too much on that now. I think we know where we are. We've been there for a while now, and until we put on a run of games, I think I'm going to calm down with the Europe talk. And I think we're all a little bit distracted by the FA Cup at the moment. So Yeah, we'll skip that one, but we've got to make sure that we talk about all of our other channels, social media channels. That's all in the pod description. So please share that. That would be really kind if you could share that, so other Fulham fans can get to know us and get to know the pod and all the other stuff that we do. One of which is the Discord, which we have, which you can sign up to and get involved with. It's just a really good place to talk about Fulham with other Fulham fans, and a lot of the kind of popular Fulham accounts on X are on there and contribute frequently. So you kind of get lots of extra little snippets and things like that, which is great. So yeah, please get involved in that. And yeah, look, we've seen very positive for Sunday, and so we should be. So Skibby, thanks for the quiz tonight. That was a real nice addition.
No worries at all. We'll keep you on your toes. It might not be players next time. It might be something else, but who knows? It might be nothing at all. That's what I love about it. So keep you on your toes. So no, thanks for having me. It's been great, well led as always, and yeah, I'm positive going into Sunday. It's just a shame it's an early kickoff, which means I can't have my steak dinner or the steak lunch beforehand.
Oh yeah,
Can't have my cream spinach.
The cream spinach is the one.
Every time I have cream spinach, Fulham do well.
Yeah.
It's not true.
And Mary, thanks as well. And
thanks for having me. Yeah, it was an enjoyable evening. Good to chat about the Brighton game, get that one out of the way, and look ahead to Spurs, another London derby as well. We didn't mention big London derby, so let's hope we can bring it home or keep it at home. And yeah, looking forward to it.
Yeah, that would be great. Oh, as I've mentioned before, all my in-laws are Spurs fans, so it's a bit of an important one for me. I like to be on the right side of the result for this one. So fingers crossed, one of our predictions comes true, and I'll be a very happy person on Sunday afternoon. So thanks to everyone who joined us in the chat and for all the comments and questions. It's been brilliant. And we will be back on Monday, I suspect, to review the Tottenham game. And yeah, we'll also be doing some shows during the international break because no one wants to focus on England games. So we want to keep the Fulham chat live and keep everyone hyped up for Palace the following week. So thanks again for everyone for joining us. Hope you enjoyed the show. And as always, come on, you Whites.
You Whites.